Welcome to the official YouTube channel of Eternia.com. I'm your host AJ, and today we're doing an unboxing and a mini review of the Masterverse 2.0 Masters of the Universe Revolution Emperor Hordak figure. Now, this is the second time that Hordak has ever appeared in Masterverse Plastic, the first time being this Princess of Power subline figure here on the right. Now, to the left, to also enjoy this unboxing, I have the Masters of the Universe Revolution King Keldor figure that had a unique relationship with Hordak. But I'm not here to talk about King Keldor, I'm here to talk about Hordak, and I'm super excited to take a look at him today, because I absolutely love this rendition of Hordak in the 2024 Netflix animated series, Masters of the Universe Revolution. First, he was played by the awesome Keith David, who, if you don't know who he is, he's an iconic actor from amazing movies like The Thing and They Live. And plus, he's no stranger to animation voice acting. I'm talking about you, Goliath. Keith David really chewed the scenery as Hordak, so much so that the 5 episodes we got of Masters of the Universe Revolution, I wish there was more, I wish it maybe lasted 6 or maybe even 7, so the characterization of Hordak had a little more meat on the bones for Keith to really act the heck out of this role. But still, regardless, just with 5 episodes, this Hordak is my favorite rendition of Hordak of all time. And now, behold, here he is, waiting to be added to my, collector's shelf. But before we get to all that, let's first take a closer look at that packaging. So here is the packaging of the Masters of the Universe Revolution Emperor Hordak, and boy, does this look great. First, of course, we have to credit the brilliant artist behind this fantastic artwork, and once again, that artist is Simon Eckert. And he's done an amazing job illustrating this Hordak on his ship. And he's grimacing with those red teeth. And he's got his Horde army behind him as he's clenching his fists. All these Horde troopers. And speaking of Horde troopers, I can't wait. Mattel announced that there's going to be a Mattel Creations exclusive Horde trooper figure. And I can't wait to buy. I know it's going to be expensive, but I can't wait to buy a few of these so I can build like this, Horde army around this Hordak. Because as we learned in Revolution, he never does his own fighting. On the side, the artwork continues here. We got more Horde troopers. And then we got, that red hologram of Mistress Motherboard. It looks great. And then on the side here, we have more of that profile artwork. It just looks so good. And then finally here on the back, we have the 3D rendering of Hordak. And look what's behind him here, I love this industrial labyrinth known as the Fright Zone, And behind him is Doom Tower there. And look, these are Horde crawlers here. Do you remember them? They're like the Horde tanks, and these guns shoot out freeze rays. And I think these are like annihilators up on top here. It's such an awesome piece of artwork, or 3D rendering, or a combination of the both, I guess. Not to go off on a tangent, but I'm still bummed that we don't get any vehicles or play sets in Masterverse yet. I figured by now we'd at least have like a Castle Grayskull, or maybe even a Panther figure, but no, And I know I'm still flying off on a tangent, but you want to know a secret? And I know it was Origins, it wasn't Masterverse, but do you guys remember the Eternia's Choice contest where all the fans were allowed to vote on like 2 play sets or vehicles that we would love Mattel Creations to offer as their next crowdfunding item? Well, my number 1 pick, here's my secret, was Doom Tower. I would love to have Doom Tower, but I lost to those damn snakes.
I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them!
All right, so let's read the bio. The bio says, Emperor Hordak, ruthless leader of the evil Horde, the demented mind behind the cult of Motherboard. Hordak, Does that even make sense? The demented mind? I mean, isn't that supposed to represent demented, like when you're crazy or insane? I don't know. It doesn't really come across to me as like an accurate, description of Hordak. The dude is like calm and collected. But I digress. The demented mind behind the cult of Motherboard, Hordak returns to Eternia to supplant Skeletor and spread the Horde Empire to the farthest reaches of the universe. All right, so now that we're done looking at this packaging, it's time to get the figure out of the box and take a closer look. So here is the Masterverse Revolution Emperor Hordak out of the box and in 360 degrees. And wow, is he looking fantastic here. I always stress that when you get a figure that is based on like an animated television series or a movie, its primary goal is to look screen accurate. Everything else is secondary. And looking at this figure, it's a chef's kiss, or to be more accurate, a He-Man and Teela kiss. Sorry. All right. Look, the ladies and gentlemen over at Mattel looks like they did a brilliant job capturing what we saw on screen, from Hordak's hood to his collar to, the Horde symbol on his breastplate to the belt to the flowing cape, man, to the color choices and the paint application, Everything just looks really spot on, The only flaw I could find, just one little tiny flaw, is the figure might be a little too narrow. But we'll get into that nitty-gritty in a moment. But first, let's get this figure off the dais, and first, let's take a closer look at that head sculpt. So here is a closer look at the head sculpt of Emperor Hordak. And first, let's just marvel at the paint application. The colors here are great. Look, they're spot on. They really, I think, match that animation model that we saw in the animated series. And check out those eyes. Look at those red eyes. How cool are they? Is that red translucent plastic or just red paint? Yeah, I think it's red paint, but they look so sinister and so cool. And it's so well sculpted. I love the ears here and the spikes, on his head and the way the brows come down and even the hanging testicles on his chin. I'm sorry, I don't know what they're, horns, hanging things on his chin. They look great. This is so brilliant. And, I wish we could see the back of the head, but this is like, hard plastic here, this hood. And I don't think it's removable at all. I mean, it's really, I think, fixed to this armor. And this armor, I don't think is removable from the body. I guess we'll get into that in a second. Yeah, the only complaint I have is I think the head is just a little too thin. That face is a little too narrow, and his body is too, I think. Yeah, do you want to get into that? Yeah, let's get into that. So looking at this Emperor Hordak, this might have been the most perfect screen-accurate figure of the year if they only made his head and probably his body a little more wider. And what I mean is, if you compare this figure to what we saw on screen in the Netflix animated series Masters of the Universe Revolution, you'll notice that on the show, his jaw is a little wider on screen than this figure. His chin with those U-horns is a little wider on screen than this figure. Same thing goes with the Horde insignia on his breastplate. And same thing even goes with this material hanging from his armor. Both are wider on the series than it is on this figure. And it looks like whoever was handling the 3D modeling for this figure, unfortunately, just scrunched it just a little bit, just made it a little more narrow than it needed to be, and it stopped it from being perfect. It was just a little off from hitting the bullseye. It still looks fantastic. I still love this figure, but it's just a little off, and unfortunately, it keeps it from being perfect. All right, so let's talk about Hordak in totality. First, let's just talk about his cape. He has a soft goods cape here in the back. This one looks like it has a little spot on it, unfortunately. But so the soft goods cape is nice, and it's attached to this hard plastic armor set. And I don't think it's removable here. I think it's glued onto this armor set, and I was looking for like a latch to be able to take off this armor, take off this hood, the top here. And it looks like it's actually glued to his chest. So there's no way to remove this. So he's always going to wear the Emperor Hordak outfits. But what a great outfit it is. I mean, I especially love the armor set here. It has this like gunmetal look to it. You see the luster of that? It's really nice. And it's hard plastic. And then what's connected to it is like soft plastic, You have the individual flap here, and then, the robe. Look at the red insignias there. It's so great. Unfortunately on this looks crooked to me. This looks like it needed to be glued a little more straight. I wonder if all of them are going to look this way, or mine is just going to be off. But other than that, articulation is going to be limited. You're going to have his head look down. You're going to have his head look up. Really, that's as far as it goes. Unfortunately, because this armor set is not removable, you're not going to be able to lift his arms too high. I mean, you're going to be able to get some forearm articulation. What's nice is you have these double jointed elbows, so you're going to get some nice articulation with the bottom of his arms. But otherwise, you're really not going to be able to lift his hands straight up into the air. Let's see, you got swivel here. Yeah, everything else is pretty decent. Does he have his drop down hips? Yeah, he even has drop down hips. Would you believe that? Wow. So, but you're really going to, based on, the armor set, the outfit of this Hordak figure, you're really going to have limited articulation, which is not surprising. But once again, this type of figure, you're just looking more for screen accuracy versus some like dynamic poses, especially for a character called Emperor Hordak, where, he's pretty much just stands and rules. So let's talk accessories. First, we have Hordak's staff, and it really looks great here. And if my memory serves me, it really captures what we saw in the animated series perfectly. I mean, what a great sculpt. What a great paint job with this, brush metal. It's so good. And the stabby at the end. And other than the staff, we have, of course, two punching hands. At least the thumbnails are painted. I actually prefer these hands, especially the pointing one here with the black fingernails. Hordak's hands look so sinister. But, otherwise, Hordak is a little light on accessories. I really wish he actually came with an alternate head that maybe shows off, those grinning red teeth. Like we saw in the package here. You see the red teeth here where he's grinning. He's got this grinning look here. Or even, this scowl look. It'd really be nice that we see all these great faces on the artwork that we really could have used another head, just like we got with King Keldor. Or maybe for an accessory, hang on. Oh, sorry about this. Or maybe even for an accessory, we could have gotten a motherboard head inside a box. How cool would have that been? That would have been great. Mistress Motherboard. But the way he came, unfortunately, he's just a little light. So what do I think of the Masterverse 2.0 Masters of the Universe Revolution Emperor Hordak figure? I really love him. Look, I know I nitpicked in this video that he's too narrow of a figure to be completely accurate, a perfect representation of the Hordak we saw in Masters of the Universe Revolution. And I mean that with all honesty. I stand by that. But that still doesn't stop this figure from being a top-notch Revolution Hordak. He looks great. Because other than his girth, Mattel did an excellent job with sculpting, with paint application. I mean, really realizing the Hordak we saw on screen into a terrifically executed plastic figure. Do I wish it came with some additional accessories like an alternate head? Yes, I do. But for a low price point $23.99 figure like this Hordak is absolutely amazing, absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to get it on my shelf with some new Horde Trooper figures and pose them together. Now I just hope we get the other, Masters of the Universe Revolution renditions of Hordak that we saw on screen realized in Masterverse plastic as well. That would just be so cool. All right, well, that's it. I would like to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.